Do you need to be buying a Louis Vuitton card holder for it? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's video I'm going to talk to you about the luxury items that I have, and some of them I love but that I would not recommend to you. And the idea for this video came from watching a video on my friend T's channel, Living Life with Daily Chic. She is fabulous. She spills the tea and she is straight and direct. I really enjoy her channel. I'm going to leave the video that I'm talking about linked down below and you should go and check that out whenever you've watched this one. And basically it was a video where T was talking about watching YouTubers buy things and unbox things and talk about things and how much they love them and how fabulous they are, and then fast forward 5 minutes and they've sold it. And maybe you or I watching that video have bought the item on their recommendation or seeing how much that they've loved it and then they've sold it, and you're kind of thinking, well, how did that happen? And T has a full video talking about this, and it gave me a Carrie Bradshaw moment and I couldn't help but wonder but seriously, I couldn't help but thinking about, I show a lot of things on this channel and I will talk about how much I love them because I do get very excited about my items and I do love them. But I am in a very fortunate position where I have, say, a number of handbags. So if there's something about that bag that annoys me or isn't good for a certain occasion or a certain event or a certain use, I can pick something else. But you might be watching my channel and hearing me talk about these items and how much I love them and thinking they're fabulous, when really I don't want anybody to do that and not know the whole truth about the item. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through 10 items that I have, 10 luxury items that are in my collection that I would not recommend to you for one reason or another if this is something that would annoy you or wouldn't work for you. And I think that helps to give a better insight into the items that I'm talking about. And if you're looking at any of these items, you can then make an informed decision on all of it, on the good and the bad, as to whether or not this will work for you. So I really, really hope this is helpful. If it is, please give this a thumbs up and let's get into the items. Now, the first item, and this is an item that you all know how much I love if you've watched my channel or followed my Instagram. I actually get comments about how much I must love this bag because it's all over my Instagram, and it is the Louis Vuitton Capucines Mini. Now, I absolutely adore this bag. I love the colour of it. I think it's fabulous. I love wearing it. But there are things about it that annoy me. And whenever Dale was looking at her Capucines before she bought the beautiful blue one that she has, she was looking at the mini in the yellow and she'd said to me, would you recommend that bag? And I had to be honest with her and say, I love it. I have absolutely no regrets in buying it and I would not sell it. It's not going anywhere. But there are things about it that are annoying and make it difficult to use. And the first thing about it is a mini bag. Now that sounds like it's self-explanatory. Yes, we know it's the Capucines Mini, but obviously what follows from that is that it doesn't fit very much. And if you look at the inside of the Capucines Mini, first of all, this handle, you can even see me trying to show you this shot. This handle is in the way. It doesn't move. So you can't move this handle out of the way to try and get in and out of the bag to get your things. So whenever you're carrying the bag, you're carrying it like this normally. This needs to be moved out of the way. You then need to get your hand in underneath this handle to get your items. And it has a piece of leather in the middle that splits the inside into 2 compartments. Now, for a mini bag, when you're already having to Tetris a little bit to fit your things in, and I don't carry a huge amount, this bit in the middle makes it more awkward to get your items set in and out. And it can be one of those moments if you're paying at the till and there's a line coming behind you. I can get a little bit flustered because I'm getting awkward getting my things in and out. So I'm trying to get them in and out around this little piece of leather. And I'm also trying to work underneath this handle that's in the way and move this flap out of the way. So as much as I love this, I would say to someone before they bought it, you need to be aware of that before you're buying it. And it's not everyone that I would recommend this bag to. I did say that to Dale whenever she was buying hers and she went for the BB, which is a size that she believes will work a lot better for her. And that's something I think you would need to consider because these Capucine bags are very, very expensive. They're probably one of Louis Vuitton's most expensive bags. And if you're going to spend that sort of money, you need to know if that's going to be something that's going to make it mean that you should buy this bag. And there are a lot of people in their own circumstances that I would recommend this to, and that is against the backdrop of me absolutely adoring it. But these bags are so expensive, they need to be more than just adore the look. And if you were needing to use it an awful lot, I think you would need to give that some serious consideration, and I would have doubts over whether or not I would recommend this to you in those circumstances. The second item that I would have doubts about recommending to people is Chanel costume jewellery. Now, this isn't to do with the price of costume jewellery and is costume jewellery worth it, etc, etc. That's a whole other discussion. I personally, the costume jewellery that I have, I love it. But if you're buying Chanel costume jewellery, and I have this beautiful pop art style Chanel brooch, and I have both of these, I have other brooches as well, but I'm showing you these ones specifically because these are all costume items that have had to be repaired. And if having items at this price, costume or not, should not need to be repaired, and they should not need to be repaired when they've had very little wear, as mine had. This one had a stone fall out of it that needed to be replaced, and both of the backs on these brooches needed to be replaced because they were just opening and falling off. And I certainly don't want the Chanel brooch that I have paid an awful lot of money for a brooch falling off my outfit and being lost. So if that's going to annoy you, because that's going to trigger a lot of people if they've spent all this money and then something goes wrong with it. Luckily mine weren't lost and I was able to get them repaired. Some people having to get them repaired would take the joy out of it for you, or the thought that it might happen and you might have to get it repaired would probably take the joy out of it for a lot of people wearing them. And if that's something that is going to impact your happiness with the piece, I'm not sure that I could recommend to you that you would buy Chanel costume jewellery. And that's coming from a Chanel lover and a Chanel costume jewellery lover. I think you'd have to really think hard about it. I'm trying to do these. I'm trying to pick items that aren't really obvious. So things that you would know once you start to wear them. Like, it's very obvious that if I said to you, oh, I wouldn't recommend you buy the Louis Vuitton Neverfull GM, which I absolutely rave about and adore, if you have no need for a massive bag, because it's a massive bag. But I think that's kind of self-explanatory. So these are items I'm trying to highlight that you would only really know these things, or these flaws, or even if they are flaws, but these concerns if you had the item and used the item. And I'm hoping that that is something that makes this video the most useful for anybody that's looking at these items. And number 3 is the Gucci Princeton loafers. Now, I absolutely love these. You can see from these white ones, these have been my go-to summer shoes. I absolutely adore them. But because of the way they are quite long and the shape of them, they crease really, really, really badly. Like, of all the shoes, I have worn these a lot, but of all the shoes that I've worn a lot, they don't look like that. You know, they look like they have been worn so much. The creases in them are so deep and so magnified and so obvious, and they don't look like new or in good condition for very long. Very quickly, if you're wearing these and you bend down, and I have children so I'm bending down all the time, but if you're wearing these and you're bending down very quickly, they will get this very, very heavily creased look. And if that's something that's going to annoy you or put you off, or you're not going to like wearing that shoe for a while, I would probably say don't buy it in the first place, as much as I love them and I love wearing them. But if that's going to draw your attention and going to make you think, well, I actually don't really enjoy this particular shoe, or that's really annoying me, I would probably say don't buy them. Number 4, and I'm going to borrow this little beauty for this point, and it's Chanel Tweed. Now, I adore Chanel Tweed. It's one of my favourites. I find it very hard when I see a Chanel Tweed bag in colours that I like not to want to buy it and collect all the Tweed colours. No. But I feel drawn to them. I feel they're fabulous. I love the texture of them, the detail of them, and I love wearing them. This is one of the bags that I feel absolutely fabulous wearing, and I was wearing that Chanel 19 just the other day, and I felt absolutely wonderful wearing it, sorry. But I have a video on this which shows the wear and tear, and if you're considering Chanel Tweed, I would say check that video out for more detail. If you are someone that likes your bags to be pristine and perfect, and whenever you first get them you inspect every inch of them, as you're perfectly within your right to do, but if you are annoyed or triggered by any tiny little flaw, I would say don't go for Tweed. I have shown this in that other video in detail. You can see one that's easy to show there is the little bit of the ribbon that has come untucked at the back. This does have, with wear, it has had some flaws in that there are some plucks, there are some threads coming out, and if that's going to annoy you and you want your bag to look perfect for a long time, I would say avoid Tweed, because it does start to show the signs of wear, and it's just part of what Tweed is, and it's the nature of the fabric, and I think you'd have to really consider that before you went ahead and bought it. Number 5 are the Louboutin heels in the 120 centimeters. Look how high that is. Now, look how fabulous it is, which is why I obviously went ahead and bought it, but it's very, very high. There's no getting away, it's very, very high. And if you are someone that easily wears heels, wears very high heels, finds them easy to walk in, is used to wearing them and has no difficulty, go for your life. You still might find these uncomfortable because of all the high heels that I have. These 120 Louboutins are probably some of the most uncomfortable. If you're someone that wears heels sometimes and thinks it won't be that bad, I'll be able to wear them, I would really, really say be cautious before you buy them, and I don't think I would recommend them to you because, like, before the children I was such a high heel wearer and these still near crucified me. One of the styles that I would say to consider if you want to buy Louboutins, and Louboutins are something that you're after, is to look at the Fifi. Now, these are one of my absolute favourite pairs. I have these in a number of different prints or leathers. They are the Fifi style. Now, they have the round toe. They are the 100 centimetre, and I think from my experience, these are probably one of the most comfortable heeled pair of Louboutins that I have had. I would still buy these. These I can wear for a long time. I find that the heel, just whatever way the Fifi is made and whatever way it works, I just find these very comfortable and I can wear these still for quite a length of time. So if you're looking at Louboutins and you were looking at those 120s and you were thinking it won't be that bad and I'll be able to wear them and it can't be that uncomfortable, I'm not sure I would recommend you go ahead with it. Do try out the Fifi or the lower 100 ones, or maybe even a bit lower, because the 120s are killer. Number 6 is the Louis Vuitton Agenda. Now, that will shock some people because I absolutely love this, but I'm a stationery freak and I have always been a stationery freak and I like to write things down. Mine is empty at the minute because I got a new batch of inserts and I'm in the middle of swapping it out and changing it over and setting it up, and when I do that I take everything out of it and almost start again. I quite enjoy that. I'm like the little child that was going back to school that got excited about getting your new back to school stationery and sharpened my pencils and set it all up, and that's what I get like when I'm setting up my agenda. I'm honestly really, really cool. But if you are looking at these agendas, and a lot of people message me about this agenda because I do love it and I talk about it a lot. But if you're someone who doesn't already write things down, you may like stationery, but if you don't already write things down, if you have notebooks that you haven't used, or if you always use your phone apps, if you always take your notes in your phones, just because you buy a very expensive but very beautiful Louis Vuitton agenda, you're probably not going to start writing things down. I think you have to, before you would invest the money in one of these, I think you have to be someone that already note takes physically in pen and pencil and writes things down and uses the notebooks that you have. And mine had to go back for repair because the brass came off the button, and I bought a very inexpensive one from Amazon at the time to swap over because I use this so much and it does the same job. Does the same job. Okay, it might not look like this, but does the same job. I honestly think, and as much as I love this and this is a good purchase for me, unless you're someone that already spends a lot of your time and planning, committing things to paper, I wouldn't recommend this, because I don't think just because you buy it, you're suddenly going to start doing it. Number 7, and this may also surprise some people, but that's why I wanted to do this, because I wanted to show the negatives of these items as well as me gushing about how much I love them, because I think that gives you a much more informed view. And it is the Fendi Tresor bucket bag. Now, I had this out with me only very recently. It has marks on it, I can see, from when I did, wiped off, from when I did have it out. I love the print of this. I think the print is fabulous. It's the print that drew me to this bag. It's the print that makes me want to use this bag. But why I say I wouldn't recommend this bag is if you are buying this bag predominantly to wear as a crossbody bag, I probably wouldn't recommend it. And that's coming from someone who loves to wear crossbody bags. I have a huge amount of crossbody bags. I think that when I buy a bag, it would have to be a very special bag for me to buy it if it didn't at least have the option of being used crossbody. But when I put this on crossbody, and it doesn't look like it's that big, it is mini, but when I put this on crossbody, I feel like it's quite bulky. And I feel the way that it sits on me, it sits out quite a bit and it sits quite bulky. And I don't really enjoy using it crossbody all that much. I just feel like I don't like the way it sits. So I have been using this bag when I have used it handheld, and it's been a little bag that I have taken out to carry like this and just enjoy the fabulous print. But if you are someone, I am very fortunate in the position that I'm in, that I have a lot of other crossbody bags to choose from whenever I need to be crossbody or want to be crossbody. So if you were buying this thinking that's going to be a great crossbody bag for me, I'm not sure I would recommend it, because I do think it's just that little bit bulky whenever you're wearing it that way. And I think there are better options that you could get, even without going ridiculously over, around the same price range. If this is what your price range is, I think that there are better options that you could get that would work better as a predominantly crossbody bag. Number 8, I love this. Like, she's going nowhere. I absolutely love this. But number 8 is Louis Vuitton, or I don't know if the other houses have them. The examples that I'm aware of are Louis Vuitton limited edition pieces with the silk screening on them, if you need them to be perfect but you also want to use them. Now, the caveat to this is I know that Hannah from Hello Catwalk City has the round coin purse that I actually have, the Venice one, the blue colouring to it, and she uses it I think every day, and hers is absolutely perfect and is fine. But if you are buying a silk screened piece like this and you want to use it every day, you need to be aware of chipping. This can chip off. Now, this I bought because I love this Paris print, and if I could find the passport holder in it at a reasonable price and good condition, I would buy that as well. But I have previously had the zippy wallet in a print that I absolutely loved, and because it was my daily wallet that I handled a lot and used a lot, the print on it chipped quite badly. And at the start it chipped a little bit, and then it chipped more, and then it started to annoy me. And when I was lifting it up and seeing the chipping, I was not filled with joy. Didn't like it. And I sold it on, obviously showing the chipping, but sold it on. This doesn't get used every day, doesn't get handled every day. So I think if it's a piece that you want to be using a lot, you need to think about it before you buy it. And I'm not sure that I would recommend you buy a daily, everyday piece that has the silk screening limited edition print on it, just because it can chip. Now, obviously there are times you could get lucky and you could get a piece and that doesn't happen to it, but I think that's something that I would be cautious about recommending it to you for, because it is a possibility, and when you've spent that amount of money, you kind of want it to look perfect. Number 9 is the Louis Vuitton Nice Nano, and really this is for anyone that really wants it to hold very much. I probably wouldn't recommend it. I love it. I bought it though almost as a decor piece. I bought it to sit there. Now, at the minute, it's back to holding, I believe, perfume samples. It was for a while holding my lipsticks and lip glosses, which I think I'm maybe going to swap it back to. But I never really bought it with the intention of it holding very much. I also have the Nice Mini. Now, this one I can't recommend enough. Enough. I absolutely adore this. This is the Nice Mini, and this holds my day-to-day, everyday makeup. I don't use a huge amount of different makeups. This holds it all. It sits on my desk like this, makes me happy. Everything's in order with its organizer. If you are going to buy one of these, I highly, highly recommend you get an organizer for it. I think it would become a beautiful mess if you didn't. But if you're looking at the Nano, it's very, very small, and obviously it's a Nano, but it holds less than you think. Now, if you're buying this to make it into a handbag and add the chain on, and I have a video showing the chains added on and wearing it crossbody, well then obviously that's different, because it is going to be like a cute little nano bag for you. Or I know that Minnie from Minx for All uses this an awful lot, and she uses it almost as a catch-all in her bags. Apart from work, I don't generally take out huge bags with me, so this is going to be too big and too bulky as a catch-all. I do love it sitting on my desk almost as a decor piece, as an aesthetic piece. But if you were wanting to use this to, say, hold your makeup or your toiletries, and it's more than just, say, a number of lip glosses, it's quite small. So if you were using the Nano and wanting it almost as the way I'm using this, as a toiletry piece to hold your toiletries, I don't know if I would recommend the Nano to you because it holds so little. The last item I'm not sure if I would recommend is the card holder. Now, it doesn't have to be Louis Vuitton, this just happened to be the one that was in my bag, and I took the cards out and lifted out. If you are someone that uses a wallet, a proper wallet, and carries a lot of things in your wallet, has a number of cards, maybe a bit of cash, receipts, there's no point buying a card holder. Unless you're going to, whenever you go out with certain bags, just take a couple of things out and be happy to carry them. How I use this is I use the recto verso every day. Everything's piled into that. It's a mess. It's all stuffed in. And then whenever I'm going out either shopping or at the weekends, I will use a mini bag and just take out the cards that I'm using and they go into this card holder. And it means it takes up very little space in the mini bag. One concern I have and why I included the card holder is that you will often see a lot of luxury YouTubers or Instagrammers talking about the card holder and how fabulous it is, and it's one of the pieces that lots of us recommend. And that's absolutely true. If you have a use to use a very limited space, a limited card holder that only carries like maybe 3 cards and maybe a little bit of cash in here, and that's all you need. If you're someone who cannot downsize from a bigger wallet or doesn't really have the need, or doesn't do it very often, if it's very rarely that you're going to not use your main big wallet and use something in a smaller bag, do you need to be buying a Louis Vuitton card holder for it? And I know that's rich coming from me, but we're trying to look at all the aspects here of these things. So if you're someone who always uses a bigger wallet, finds it hard to downsize or downsizes out of it and uses something slimmer very, very rarely, I'm not sure I would recommend a flat card holder because it does hold very little. Perfect if you only need a couple of cards in a mini bag because it doesn't use much space, but definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me. Those are my 10 luxury items that I have and love, but that I wouldn't necessarily recommend. I hope that this has been helpful and enjoyable and given a little bit of an insight into some of these items and would give you some food for thought if you were thinking about buying them. Thank you so much for watching me. Thank you so much for joining me. Please take care and I will see you again in the next one.